Hello, everybody. So I just wanted to do a stock market overview, and I'm just going to give my quick opinion right now. So right now, I feel like the market is short-term bullish, but longer term, and by longer term, I mean 1 year out, probably a little bit more bearish, just given all the macro news out there. So even though I do think that we're short-term bullish, today I did see something that made me a little bit more bearish. So I'm going to point that out. It's here on Apple. So the one thing I want to point out right here is this wick right here. It's right at about 170 uh, 30-ish, 170 20, 170 30-ish. It's a little hard to say exactly, but it's around that area. And I'll show you the significance. So we rejected right here. And then when we made it above this, we had this massive rally. And then when we cut below this, we had this massive dip. And then you can see right here that when we cut above this, we had another little rally right here. So when we actually look at this, we made it above this today, but they tanked us down right back down to this level. So this was intentionally done, in my opinion. And you can see on the day. So, oops, let's go right here. So right around 30 minutes before close, Apple was around 171.50, and I was saying in the Discord that I think that there's a chance that Apple could fade all the way back down to this support line, and I felt like it wasn't going to happen just because it's the last 30 minutes. But sure enough, it happened, and now we're actually below this line. So this could potentially act as resistance moving forward. So we're going to have to pay attention to that tomorrow. And there's a lot of selling volume here at the very end. Ignore this very last volume bar. But if you just look down here, there's just constant selling near the end. So this last 30 minutes of selling actually took us down about dollar 30 cents here on Apple. But we are still up on the day, so Apple does still look pretty bullish. We're above all the moving averages, the major ones. But we do have this 50-day that looks like it could potentially cross underneath the 100-day. So that's something to look out for. And I do want to note that if we're looking at this trend line right here, it's it's actually hitting this wick, the base of this red bar. It's hitting these two wicks. It's going through this little gap right here, and it coincides right with the body of this candle. We want to pay attention to Apple moving forward. Is it going to get above this resistance line, or is it going to break down below? And if it does break down below, I think it's likely that we go back to the 50 or the 100. They're basically like within $1 of each other. So we'll look out for that. And then is it going to bounce and then retest this or break through? So that's what we're going to pay attention to on Apple going forward. Now, looking at SPY, I want to pay attention to the 1 month time frame. So we had this trend line right here. And this trend line right here was holding up pretty well, but today it got invalidated. And we had this trend line right here that got invalidated a few days ago. And let's go back to the 1 year. So right now we're hanging out between the 200 and the 100-day moving average. So SPY still looks pretty bullish. Maybe this is just cooling down to the 200-day moving average. Who knows? And we're just going to go straight back up. But I don't really know. And right now, if we do break below the 200-day, we still have the 50-day to catch it. So definitely look out for that. And let's go on the NASDAQ, QQQ. So same thing going on here. We had these two trend lines. This one got invalidated a few days ago, and this one just got invalidated today. And then we're going to go on the 1 year. And you can see we're above the 50-day, but we're still pretty far from the 200-day moving average. So are we just going to fall a little bit more, and then are we going to get right back on this 50-day moving average, or are we going to fall below? So right, this area right around 250-ish is probably going to hold up as some pretty good support. But we'll see. I mean, we'll know in a few days, maybe even tomorrow. Soft, I do want to point out, is underneath the 200-day right now. So intraday, we did get above this, but we rejected. And look where we rejected. So this is the top of this red bar right here. It's also the top of this red bar. If I zoom out a little bit, you can clearly see that we just made it right back up here and then we rejected. And if I zoom in, you can see today's price action actually went above the 200-day and right on the 50-day. So it basically managed to get above the 200-day and it managed to bounce off the 50-day. So now we're kind of wedged in between these two moving averages. So to me, it's a little bit of indecision. And note right here, we're actually coinciding with the bottom of this trend channel. So I'm going to zoom out here so you can see this trend channel a little bit better. So this longer term channel, you can kind of, we're right on the bottom of it. So we're going to see if we get back in this trend channel or if we break underneath the 50 and we continue moving down. So that's something to look out for on Microsoft. Now, NVIDIA, I want to point out, especially rejected the 100-day moving average. So here you can see NVIDIA rejected the 100-day right here, and it's rejecting the 100-day again. And you can see these wicks are drawing out here, and this looks more like a shooting star type pattern. So it's very possible that we could just fade all the way back to this area, which coincides with this wick and the base of this candle. And then when we zoom out, it coincides with this right here, this movement right here. We could fade all the way down to what is about 248.50 if the sell-off continues. I do want to note that we are above the 50-day on NVIDIA. So it's still pretty bullish in my opinion. It's just having a pullback here. And does kind of look like a double top almost. Google, I want to say, point out right here that we rejected the 100-day moving average and we're above the 200-day moving average. So we're wedged right in between here. And this also coincides with this trend channel that we were in previously. So this looks a lot like Microsoft right now. Similar situation. You can kind of see we did this little W here. So if we ignore this entire price action right here, this is just a W. And now we're basically at the top of this W. If you zoom out, right, you can see that this resistance line is catching this move right here, this move before this gap down, and then the base of this massive green bar. If we're looking at Amazon here, there is this resistance right here. You can kind of see all these wicks that were drawn around this area. So wick right there, wick. It tends to be like the right and left shoulder area for these head and shoulder patterns. We made it all the way up here. Let's throw on the moving averages. Go to the 1 year. So similar situation. We're wedged in between the 200 and the 100. So we actually rejected off the 200 here on Amazon. We didn't quite make it there, but we got really darn close. And now we're just wedged in between there. We're above the 50, so this still does look pretty bullish. It could just potentially fade a little bit, go all the way down to the 100-day moving average, and then rally back up again. So that's something to look out for. But if this does decide to fade a little bit further and we have a further sell-off, I think it's likely that we could probably fade all the way back down here, which is right around 3,129, which just kind of lines up with this wick right here. And it's kind of in between these two green bars. And when we zoom out, it hits this support area too. Now I want to look at the VIX. When I look at the VIX, I'm just going to take out these moving averages because it's a little bit hectic. It actually broke below my support trend line. But what we need to look out for is if we break above this on the VIX and we start bouncing up and down this trend line again, then you could see the market get a little bit more dangerous because we're holding this area pretty well, which is this 2330 area. And you can see that this was a prior resistance here and here. And once we broke through this area, you can see that we really made this huge move up to the 30s. So something to watch out for in the VIX. And oh, there's one more thing I want to look at. I want to look at Tesla. So I think what makes this market especially dangerous right now is just how much Tesla rallied. And we kind of drew out the shooting star pattern at the for today's price action. And we're actually still green on the day, so still pretty bullish. But if this does decide to fade, if that was the top, then this has quite a bit to fall. I mean, we're slightly above the 100-day, and if we lose this, I do think we can make a pretty quick trip to the 50-day, which is around 900. So definitely look out for that. Also note that this 50-day moving average lines up with this broader trend line. So I'm going to take out the moving averages so you can see that a little bit better. So see that? Lines right up. And then we're going to throw on the moving averages. See? Perfect. Now, I am going to talk about Bollinger Bands in another video, and I'm going to specifically talk about Tesla, and I'll link that down below. So definitely watch my video on Bollinger Bands because it's going to be a little bit more in depth than what I've talked about in the past. So in the past, I was just introducing you guys to this, but I'm going to really go in detail on this next video, and that'll be linked down below. So definitely check that out. And lastly, I want to just look at the fees. So when we're looking at WTI and crude, WTI is at 114. Crude is, or Brent is all the way at 121. So this has gone up significantly in the last few days, getting a little bit more risky. So that's all I got for you guys today. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video.